Hello everyone, welcome to Lighthouse Stamping with Lorraine. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Vancouver, Washington. Thank you for joining me today. Before we get started, the housekeeping notes. All the product I'm using and all the dimensions are listed below. There's a link to my online store if you wish to purchase any of these products and help support my channel. There's a link to our Facebook group. We'd love to have you join that. There is my email address if you have any questions. And finally, remember to like, share it, and subscribe and help me grow in YouTube world. I know we've played with this before, but we're going to play with it again. There's so many different avenues and ways you could use this set. So, we're going to play with Gallery Blooms and Beautiful Motifs. We are not using the DSP today. We are going to be using the embossing folder that goes with it, which is the Damask designed embossing folder. It is not a 3D, but it's very beautiful. So we're going to be using that. So let me show you what we're making. Here is the envelope. And here is our card. It's a very simple card. You noticed here, this is actually elevated in the center. It's got a double bow. Oop, and that doesn't belong there. And then we have the inside. It says, "Hello, you've been on my mind." It's a nice monochromatic card. So this is what we're making today. So to get started, we're going to do some die cutting and some embossing. Grabbing my paper. This is a piece that's 4 by 5 1/4, 4 by 5 1/4 of Misty Moonlight. We're going to be embossing that with the embossing folder I just buried. And then we're going to buy die cutting using Gallery Blooms dies. We're not using any of the flower dies today. We're using this one here. Now, I'm not going to be using the whole thing, and I'm going to show you how I cut just what I need and not waste any paper. So, I'll grab that. So, let's start with the embossing, and then we'll do the die cutting. You will need your large cut and emboss machine, or if it's equivalent, you're going to need plate 1 and 2 plate 3s. And like I said, this is not a 3D, it's a standard embossing folder. And the pattern on this Damask runs this direction. So I'll be putting my paper in sideways. And to get it straight, I'm using the line there to line it up. But always make sure that you fold, it goes in with the fold forward. And then the other plate 3 and run it through. And that clicking, if you're not familiar, is normal. And then we end up with a beautiful piece that has been embossed. Okay, so we'll set that aside. Now we're going to do some die cutting. So we're going to need plate 1, adapter 2, plate 3, and we need our piece. Now you can actually get 3 pieces out of this: center, middle, and this. But I only need the center in this one. I don't need the outside one. So if you needed the outside and the whole thing, you need to cut your piece of paper about 4 inches by 5 1/2, and that would just make it. But I don't need that one. So instead of doing that, I'm going to take a smaller piece of paper that is like 3 1/8, or no, just over 3 1/2. It's over 3 1/8 and about 4 1/2. And I'm going to set it over. This is the cutting side. I'm setting this right over and make sure that I have my framework inside that. So I'm always saving a little bit of paper, but if you have a scrap of paper, you might be able to cut this. Or you can cut the whole thing and just save the border for something else. Gently lay that across there. And I just moved it. I did. So if you're like me and your plates are a little bow and they want to move a little bit, this is where some washi tape or a little bit of Post-it tape, whatever you choose to use. I've got this a very slight framework there. Just put a little piece of tape on there to hold it. And yes, we're cutting this upside down. You can cut upside down on this. Matter of fact, on very detailed items, I do sometimes cut upside down. So I can make sure that it is die cut all the way through before I finish. In case I need to go back through it again. This one is just for lining up purposes. So here's my 2 frames that I need for this card. And here is just the tiniest bit of waste. So you can either cut the whole thing and then you'd have this 3rd one out here to use for something else, or you can put a smaller piece in. You know, make it work for you. And I do believe that is all the die cutting and stuff we need the die machine for. So now we'll do some stamping. We're going to need a piece of basic white, which is 4 by 5 1/4, and this is for the inside of the card. And we are going to need a stamping mat. So we're going to do the inside, and I do need an envelope. It's right here. So we're going to do the inside first. The only color ink I'm using on this card is Misty Moonlight, since this is a monochromatic card. And there is this beautiful flower, corner flower arrangement. And I'm going to put that right about there. Very beautiful. And I'm going to put the same one on my envelope. But I'm going to come off the page just slightly. So we go like that. Envelope's done. Now also on the inside, it's going to say, "You've been on my mind." And I'm just sort of sticking this. I'm not trying to line it up in any particular way. I'm just putting it in there. So something simple. So that's the inside of the card. Next is the frame. And you can actually tell what the front and the back of these are by feeling the die, where the die cut was. So you're going to put that piece right back in. And I would recommend you already do it right on your mat, because this is photopolymer. Just one moment. And we are going to use this great big flower. Now this big flower is going to straddle across here. So I'm basically aiming this leaf or stalk to this corner and going straight up towards the top like that. And this is much bigger than your ink pad. So take the ink to the stamp to make sure you've got a nice good coverage. You only have one shot of this unless you want to go back and cut the thing out. And don't rock if you got ink on this like I do. Go straight down and push. And I'm going to hold this just for a second. I'm pushing a little extra weight around the sides where that is to make sure that we do get my image on those. Because when you go into, it's like a little valley. You want to make sure it gets covered. So you're going to pull up the top one, and then you're going to take your finger or something and drop the last one. Okay, so this is what we have so far. Get him back in there. You can see how pretty that looks. And then we're going to put hello, and it's going to go right down here in this corner on the outside. Just like that. And that is all the stamping for our card. So let's build. Let me get some ink off my fingers first. That would be a good idea. Okay, let's set him off to the side. So I have a card piece of card base. This is Misty Moonlight, 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. And we're going to give it a good burnish. And if you've been watching any of my videos, I like to put my inside in first if I have it available. Sometimes it's not practical, but if I have it done, doesn't have to. It's just me. And you can use your adhesive of choice for this one. Now, this is embossed. With the embossing, I would recommend even using glue or Seal Plus or tear and tape. I would not use regular seal because it's not strong enough to hold this, and after a short time, it will start popping off. And so use a strong adhesive for anything that has been run through an embossing machine. And that's going to go, it does have a border. It's not the full page size. It's got a standard border on it. Okay. Next, we need the outside piece of our card. And I'm going to be using my grid. I'm going to get this a little closer to me. About like that. Because I need to 1, 2, 3. I'm using the grids. It's about 2.5 that way. And how many do we have this direction? That's 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's right about where I want it, right there. I'm leaving my finger right here so I know exactly where I'm tucking it back in. And I am using glue. Now you could pop this one up and double pop up the center if you wanted. With postage going up in July, I decided I wanted to try to keep the costs down. So not quite as much dimension on this. So back in here, that's about 2.5. And that is about 3 squares on there. That looks pretty straight. Grids, even the paper grids, are great for doing this. You can line things up. So now we have this lovely piece here. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take and put a bow and some ribbon. So I am using the Misty Moonlight and White 1/4 inch starter ribbon pack. Now this does not have as much ribbon as regular rolls do. I want to say it has like 2 yards. Yeah, 2 yards of each. So there are smaller rolls. And so I've cut a piece here that is about 2.5 inches. And I've also made, if I can find him, I've made a little double bow out of white and blue. Now I did not hand tie this. I used my little bow tire stakes. If you have never seen them, they come in all different shapes. Some are plastic, some are wood. They're just little things that you can move the pegs around to the width, and you tie your bow on there. And I wouldn't want to try to tie that small of a bow with a double without. If you don't have a peg, you'd think do a single bow. But, and you could tell, I think I had, this one I had the blue on the outside when I did it, and this one I had the white on the outside. So they look just a little bit different. But you're going to be putting this right on here, and it's rather heavy compared to this. So I'm going to go ahead and put glue across here. Actually, I'm going to put seal across here. Or you could use glue dots. But I am going to use that because I tried the other one. I ended up putting a glue dot behind it. And I'm going to come up about 3/4 of an inch or so. Just tuck that in there like that. And then we grab the dimensionals. I know you're wondering why I'm always so picky about covering stuff up. If you have 2 long-haired cats, you don't leave things out very long. And, oh, except, well, I didn't get enough glue on that piece, but that's okay. Because guess what I'm going to do? We'll just tack her down a little bit with a little dimensional right there. It'll be just fine. And you're saying, boy, she's putting those awful close. Because it's going to have a lot of weight right there with that bow on it. But I want to make sure that this is nice and sturdy. And just peel all the backs off. Well, I hope everybody had a wonderful Memorial Day. I shouldn't say that. Sounds sort of bad, doesn't it? But I think you all know what I meant. Okay. Now I'm going to line this up right back in the hole, but I'm not pushing down because I want to be able to lift it up. We'll see just a slight shadow behind. And once I know I'm where I want to be, then I'll commit. This is going to go right here. And I'm going to use a couple glue dots for that. Like I said, it's a little on the bulky, heavier side than just a single bow. I like it, but it's a little on the bulky side. So it'll take 2. That's why I put the extra dimensionals underneath there, because I know I'd have to press quite hard. So then I got to this point and I thought, okay, I want some bling on this. So I looked at all my bling, and I grabbed the basic pearls. And I took my blends and I colored a couple of them on here. And I sort of tried it out, and I really didn't like it. I preferred the other. But I thought what I might do, I'm going to take one of these over here gently and sort of show you what I'm talking about. That's that one there. Oh, let's go for it. I'll try them, and you can tell me if you like the Misty Moonlight pearls or just standard pearls on this card. Put one there. So it does give it a different look. So this is the one I just did with Misty Moonlight. I colored them with the blends. And if you are coloring them with the blends, use your darkest color and use the side of your nib, not the point, because you'll ruin the point. So that's my card for today. So do you like the one with the blue, or do you prefer the one just with the plain pearls? I really would like to know. So that's the 2 versions. So thank you for joining me today, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.